Okay, so let me just introduce us to the team. So my name's Sharon Hilliard. I've had the absolute pleasure of being the head teacher of Exel Cedars here for now 13 and a half years. I'm accompanied and helped every day by my assistant head teacher, Rebecca Episcopo, who will be introduced to you a little bit later on, and not forgetting our school dog Teddy, who actually belongs to Mrs. Episcopo. So Teddy goes home with Mrs. Episcopo every evening, but I get to have him in my office every day. And Teddy helps our children a great deal. He's like our very own little magic wand for those children who find being at school just a little bit tricky at times. He's got a beautiful nature and is really great with young children. So hopefully you'll complete the document in your pack that's going to come out this week, which says if your child does need a little bit of Teddy time, that you're okay for them to come and visit him. Next slide. So these are the staff that will be working in reception in September. So we've got Mrs. Millie Allen. Millie is our foundation stage lead, so she has the huge task of coordinating all of the learning that takes place across the whole of our foundation stage. So our foundation stage runs from our preschool, which takes 2 and 3 year olds, into reception and nursery. The foundation stage itself actually runs from birth, so your children are already experiencing the foundation stage, whatever setting they're in. To support Mrs. Allen, who's working in Rose class, is Mrs. Dorman. Those of you who are in school already, at the moment, Mrs. Dorman is Miss Hunt. So hopefully, fingers crossed with COVID, she'll get to have the wedding of her dreams in the summer holidays. So Mrs. Dorman is the class teacher in Daffodil class in September. The 3 staff that will be supporting your children alongside the 2 teachers are Mrs. Lee, Mrs. Singh and Mrs. Wheatley. So you'll get to know those teachers really well during the course of September and the coming year. Next slide. In our nursery team this year is going to be led by Miss Jackson, and she will be supported by Mrs. Rowe and Miss Rawlings. Miss Rawlings, some of you will know as Sian, who's been working in our preschool. So she will be coming along to support our children as they transition into preschool. Next slide. So just so you know, this week we are putting together your starter packs. Due to COVID, it will be electronic, and within that there will be 1 sheet which has got 8 forms that you need to complete. Now they sound really huge, but most of them are just a click or a typing in. So please make sure when you are typing in your answers before you submit it, that you check there are no spelling mistakes, particularly with the names and email addresses. Staff after tonight will be starting to get all the labels ready for your children. So if you could just be really careful when you're typing it in and make sure all that information is correct, that would be super. Thank you. So just to let you know, if you're not already aware, all milk is free to all children in school settings until the term they are 5. Now, although it's free, you do have to apply for it. So again, within your pack that will come out this week, there will be a link to Cool Milk where you can apply directly. Unfortunately, if you don't apply, then your child will not receive their free milk. So if you do want them to have it, please make sure you click on that link and fill in the form. As well as that, your child will also have access to free fruit, which is provided each day, and that ranges from strawberries to bananas to pears, all sorts of varieties, including some vegetables. If your child is in reception, for the next 3 years, your child will get a free meal provided. So all children in reception, year 1 and year 2 across the country are able to apply and receive for a free meal each day. Within our school, we have a great catering team who make the food on site, and there's usually between 5 or 6 options that are available each day. So hot options, cold options, sandwiches, vegetarian, and I'm sure there'll be something in there that your child will like. There's also a link to the menu so you can see what kind of things are offered in your pack that you'll get this week. Water bottles, you might want your child to send in a water bottle, but if you do, please make sure it's clearly named, and they will go home and into school each day to make sure they stay clean and hygienic. Next slide. So we've just talked about reception, year 1 and year 2 get a free meal. This is very different to being classed as eligible for a free school meal. So if you're eligible, this is means tested, and this depends on which benefits you receive. So for every child who applies for and is accepted as being eligible, you will get a £50 supermarket voucher of your choice that you can then use on food, uniform, anything you want to. And that comes from us as a school as a thank you for putting in that application. As well as that, the school also has a huge benefit. Just admit them, that'd be great. Because all schools get funding for every child who is eligible, and school funding for free school meals makes up quite a big part of all school budgets. And I'm sure, as you're aware, in the recent news, school budgets have become tighter and tighter over years. So every little bit of extra funding that we can get, we really do appreciate. And that's why we give you the £50 voucher as a thank you for applying for a free school meal eligibility. Again, there is a link in the pack. If you're not sure, please do click on the link and just see if you are. It makes a huge difference to the school. It really does. Thank you. So uniform is available from Toy Kenning, which is in Bedworth. Again, there is a link in the pack with the prices. But also, we're not proud about uniform. We realise that some parents find it really tricky to pay out for the actual uniform with the emblems on. So we're more than happy for you to go to a local supermarket and buy items that are in the same or similar colour as the school. What most parents might do is buy maybe a cardigan or a jumper and then get the rest of the uniform from a supermarket. So they've got one item of clothing that has the emblem on, and then the rest is supermarket bought, but the choice is entirely yours. Again, the link is in the pack that you'll get. One thing that I will say is please make sure that you name all clothing. And obviously that means making sure that as you go through the year that the labels haven't come off or been washed and it's rubbed off. And also please make sure shoes are. Sometimes people forget to name pumps and shoes, so make sure you do those too. As your children are quite young, we're assuming that they can't yet tie laces. If they can, that's amazing, well done. But if they can't, please make sure that you do send them in Velcro shoes so they can get them on and off quite easily themselves. Make sure they wear clothes they can take on and put off. And also they will need a coat every day because regardless of the weather, the children will access the outdoors. That's a huge part of the foundation stage curriculum. So please make sure you send them in a coat. They may need a change of clothes. Your child may be fully toilet trained already. However, you will find that they get so engrossed in their learning and new exciting activities to play in that they might on occasions have a little bit of an accident. Also, they sometimes get a bit crazy with the water play because they've not used it before. So send them in a spare set of clothes in their own bag because it's never the same putting on spare clothes that don't belong to them. So please make sure you keep those up to date and change them as needed. Our cloakrooms are really quite small, so please don't go out in the summer and buy your child a lovely, great, big, new backpack. Please keep it to a small pump bag. And again, Toy Kenning do sell these, and they're perfect for just keeping in a spare set of clothes. PE days, on the days that your child has PE, and you'll get that information nearer to September, please make sure you send them into school wearing their PE kit. PE kit is simply black shorts or leggings and a white t-shirt and a hoodie or a jumper if it's a bit cold and trainers or pumps, but send them in on those days. Thank you. So the school day. So our nursery children, we've moved the time slightly and they have changed due to COVID this year. So from September, our nursery day will run the same time as our preschool day. So it'll be from 8:30 till 11:30 in the morning and 12:05 to 3:05 in the afternoon. Reception children will be from 8:55 till 2:55 every day, and the doors will open at 8:40 a.m. and that allows you to do more than one drop if you've got children at the junior school. We do have a breakfast club and after school club. This is available through a private company called Cedar Seeds, and that's available from 7:45 until 5 p.m. If there is a large enough need to run it until 5:30, then the owner will consider that. There is a register interest link in your pack, which is coming out this week, with a little bit more information right at the end of the meeting tonight. Just as a Tracy, if you are late collecting your child at the end of a school day, they will be put into after school club, which is chargeable by Cedar Seeds. because obviously we can't leave children in classrooms unattended, and most evening teachers do have other jobs or meetings that they need to attend to. In terms of their password at the end of the day, if you find you're unable to collect your child because you're stuck in traffic or you're running late at work or caught in the supermarket, on the data form, there's a really, really important piece of information, their password. Please make sure it's really clearly written. Try not to think of something too crazy, because we have had occasions where parents have sent a new adult to come and collect and they've had to give the teachers quite an unusual, sometimes quite embarrassing password. So keep it quite safe, keep it personal to you, and only share it with a trusted adult. If you send somebody to collect your child who we don't know, we will not let your child go if they do not know that password. Even if your child shouts, "Oh, that's my grandma." If we don't know grandma, we don't know grandma's a safe adult, we will not release your child. So it's really important that you make a note of that password. We lots and lots of times have parents ring up, "I'm sending so-and-so to collect them," and they don't know their own password. So once you've written it, decided on it, please make a note of it in your phone and keep it safe. Thank you. So worries. We're here not just to help you, but also your children. We help the whole family. If you've got a child that's in nursery, then please seek advice from your health visitor. However, if they're of school age, then we can refer them to the school nurse team for a range of issues. So that might be their sleep, you're concerned they're not eating very well, you're concerned about their behaviour, maybe you're struggling to put in place a bedtime routine, or you're still struggling with toileting. If any of those things concern you, or many more things about their general health and well-being, you can either speak to your child's class teacher to refer, or you can just ring up and call the office and we will put that referral in for you. As I said, we're not just here for your children, we're also here for you as your family. So there's a great service, if you're not aware of it already, called the Family Information Service, and they provide a wealth of online training in support in your classrooms. They will even come into your home if you need it. There's all sorts of stuff you can access that we can signpost you to. So if you are struggling, please don't struggle alone. I'm sure there's always going to be someone that we can signpost you towards. If your child has sickness or diarrhea, please make sure they stay at home for 24 hours. As you can appreciate with young children, they are touching things, handling things, passing things between them, holding hands, and it does pass really quickly through small children from one to another. So please make sure they don't come into school until 48 hours have passed since the last bout of sickness or diarrhea. Nits, if your child does have nits, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Nits actually prefer all sorts of hair, and it does still happen. And again, infant children of this age, they like being close with their friends, hugging them, holding them. When they're on the carpet playing with the train set, their heads will be close together. If they do get nits, please make sure you treat the whole family so it doesn't keep getting passed around, and then your child can return safely to school as soon as they've been treated. You don't need to wait. COVID-19, was hoping we'd get away with not mentioning that this evening. We're hoping it won't be an issue in September, but at the moment, if any member of the household does have symptoms, then the whole family obviously needs to isolate until a negative test is seen. Fingers crossed that that isn't the case in September. As I said, we are here for you and your children. So anything, even as insignificant as domestic abuse, we do have places that we can refer you to where you can get the help and advice that you might need in that situation. Thank you. Attendance and punctuality is really important. And we quite often have parents saying, well, my child isn't 5 yet, so it doesn't matter. And legally, yes, you're right. However, by you sending your child to Cedars, we do expect you to make a commitment to sending them to school every day. We're committing to getting your child the very best education we can give them. And in order to do that, we do need them in school every day. Most learning takes place in a child's life in their first 7 years. So if they go on holiday just for 1 or 2 weeks, they miss an important chunk. They might miss learning the next 5 sounds that their class is learning. And when they come back, they will feel that they're struggling to catch up with their peers. So please You will have 13 weeks when they're not in school. Please book holidays. Fingers crossed, COVID allowing. Please book them in the 13 weeks holiday, not in school time. People make the mistake of saying they're only little, it doesn't matter. It matters more now than it ever will throughout the whole of their education. They need these building blocks now in order to move on into their junior school and onto their secondary school. Really, really important. Just as a point to know, I'm actually not legally permitted to authorise a holiday during school time anyway. So anyone who applies for a holiday during school time, legally I cannot authorise it, so it would be unauthorised on their school record. If you do take a holiday, there is a service in Warwickshire called the Warwickshire Attendance Service, fondly known as WAS, and you could be fined, and the fine is per child, per parent. So another good reason not to take them out during the term times. We monitor attendance at 95%. And again, even though your child isn't yet school age, they're not yet 5, we do treat these children exactly the same as we do in reception year 1 and year 2. So we monitor them at 95%, and we want them to get into the good habit of being in school every day and having really good attendance. Again, same as we do in school. If we are monitoring your child and there isn't any improvement, then you may be called to a meeting with myself and my chair of governors to discuss if there's any reasons why they're not getting into school, if there's anything we can do to help. Thank you. So additional needs. So we expect all our children to behave and act in a respectful way to both the adults and the children in school, as I'm sure you do at home too. We also recognise that all behaviour is a form of communication and that some children might need additional support in order to understand and manage that behaviour. The staff here are really skilled and trained well to support children with a range of needs. If a child has been identified as having specific needs, then Mrs. Episcopo, who's our assistant head teacher in Senko, is highly experienced and will work with you parents to identify the right support for your child. And that might mean that we get essential help from the specialist teaching service or from the EP service if required. Your child might have a positive learning plan put in place, which provides targeted support, which is reviewed and modified regularly in consultation with you as the parents. If your child has English as an additional language, please make sure you check the definition carefully on the data sheet. It's really easy to think, no, they're not because my child speaks English beautifully. It's not an additional language, but please check the definition. It actually means if they have regular contact with and communicate with family members who speak their first language. And the reason we ask you to do this is because, once again, we do receive additional funding to support those children with EAL needs in school. So please check the definition and say yes if it does apply to your child, and let's bring in that extra funding for the school. Thank you. So lots of funded places now through the government. So in our preschool, we offer 2 help funded places. So please contact the preschool if that's something that you'd be interested in. In nursery, all of our 3-year-olds are eligible to receive 15 hours, which is fully funded. And usually that's offered either in a morning place every day or an afternoon place every day. We do also offer 30-hour fully funded places, which are for those working parents. Just the point to note, we do need your code by August the 31st. If we don't get the code, we will not be able to fund that child's place ready for September. So that goes for children who will be new to the 30-hour code, but also if you already have one, that needs to be renewed before August the 31st, please. Okay. So what can you do to get your child school ready over the summer? You can read them a bedtime story every night. This is proven through research that it actually has lifelong benefits for your child. It makes them far more school ready in terms of reading and writing, and develops that early love of reading and writing for later on in their education. So if you can't do anything else with your child, please make sure a bedtime story is a priority. Help them to become independent. Don't do things for them. When we've got 30 children in the classroom in September, they will have to do it themselves. So if they're not already doing it, please try and start that now. Try and encourage them to dress and undress themselves, which is going back to the very first slide where we talked about getting themselves clothes. where they can manage those clothes independently. Own shoes and socks. Our children love taking their shoes and socks off for those sensory feelings, playing in the water, playing outside, playing in the sand, getting undressed, putting on the fancy dress costumes. So make sure they can take off and put on their shoes and socks themselves. Can they tidy up after themselves, or do you still do that for them? If you do, start getting them to do it themselves. Again, 30 children, they will be expected to put away something when they've finished playing with it, either in nursery or in the reception class. Encourage them to do mark making, encourage the correct grip, encourage the correct formation. Now, lots of parents spend their summer holidays getting their children to write their names. If this is something you think you would like to be doing, please click on the doorway link, which will be in your pack this week, because it will show you the correct way to teach your child to form those letters. It's actually much harder to unteach a child who can already write their name in capitals than a child who cannot do it at all. So please click on that doorway link and learn how to support your child with their handwriting and letter formation at home. We also expect them to respect adults. We don't expect children to be saying no and refusing to do what they've been asked. So again, if this is something your child does with you at home, let's get them into a good habit and get them more school ready. There's a road to school in your electronic starter pack, which will also give you some good starting points. So have a look in there. The one thing as well I would make sure you do as soon as you can, it'll get you up to date with the school, is to go and download the Scudio app. You literally download the app onto your phone and then select Exor Cedars Infant School. This is where we post pretty much daily anything that's happening in the school environment. We post about sports days, parents' evenings, workshops. We put all the photos on there. So if you don't have the Scudio app, you really will be missing out on an awful lot to do with your child's life at Cedars. So make sure you do that over the summer. Thank you. So what can we offer you? Our mission statement is learning and growing together. We say we're family, we achieve well, and we believe in ourselves. And we base our values on the 4 British values of democracy, rule of law, mutual respect, and individual liberty. Thank you. So we teach all our children the signs for that. So we are F, A, B. We are family, we achieve well, and we believe we can do it. And we start all of our Fab Friday assemblies in the same way. So we are committed to keeping your child safe at school, and we have the highest expectations for them. We want to support your child not just to develop academically, but socially and emotionally too. And we're committed to safeguarding your child, but we expect parents, staff and visitors to have that same commitment too. Thank you. So our recipe for curriculum and success is we try and be creative, and we want our children to be successful, confident and take responsibility. So they enjoy learning and are motivated, want to try new things and get the best out of their opportunities, and are really well prepared for their future life and for their work. We want them to be creative, resilient, risk takers, collaborative, persevere, be curious, be good communicators, and be reflective. Thank you. So the way we plan our work for the children at Cedars is with flexible units of work. We have engaging titles to get the children drawn in with creative starters. It's a mix of discrete and thematic teaching according to need. There's an emphasis on their skills that we develop and how they can then transfer those. We give them first-hand experiences of trips and visitors in school, high quality text. We link their learning together to make it more meaningful. We use the local community, the environment and further afield. We're supporting their social, emotional and mental health. We have high expectations of their achievement and we want them to investigate, to invite curiosity. Thank you. So I'm going to hand over now to Bex Episcopo, who is our assistant head and also our Senko.
Hi, I'm Bex, as Mrs. Hilliard said. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about our attachment awareness work that we do in school. So at Cedars, we're committed to being an attachment aware school. We understand the psychology of children's behaviour. We spend a lot of time thinking about how the brain works, and we spend a lot of time making sure that our children are mentally healthy. We teach our children about the brain, and we teach them about their emotions. So we use this book a lot. And this book teaches children in a really child appropriate way about their brain. So we have 3 parts of the brain. We've got little meerkat brain, and that's the brain that keeps us, that's the part of the brain that keeps us safe. We've got the elephant part of the brain, and we teach the children that that's the part that affects our long-term memory. And we teach them about our monkey brain. So that's our problem-solving part of the brain. So our children really understand the neuroscience behind what's going on. We spend a lot of time teaching them about emotions. Emotional literacy is really, really important to us. We want our children to be able to recognise how they're feeling. We want them to be able to understand how they're feeling and why they're feeling this way. We really stress that no emotions are bad. Everybody experiences sadness, happiness, and anger. And what we teach our children is it's how you act on these emotions that are important. We celebrate good behaviour at our school. We have a positive behaviour management system. So we spend a lot of time pointing out all the really brilliant things that go on within our school, and we celebrate that work. So we have our wonder wall. I have one here. So when the children do a really super job, when they show respect, when they show kindness or empathy towards others, their picture, their mini-me picture goes up on the wonder wall. And what's important at Cedars is once children are on that wall, they're on that wall for the rest of the day. We also have a smiley face system. So each time we catch the children doing something amazing towards their learning in the classroom or around the classroom, in the dinner hall, we ask them to pop a smiley face on the piece of paper. So that reward is immediate and they absolutely love it. As part of our positive behaviour management system, we use lots and lots of positive language. So, you know, we really, really point out all the great things that are going on. And as part of that, we rephrase a lot of things. So, for example, we wouldn't say no running. We would say, could you walk, please? So it's reinforcing that positive behaviour and that positive language all the time. Each week we have a really important assembly. It's called our Fab Friday assembly, and that's where we come together as a family, and that's where we think about what the children have been doing in school, and we celebrate a particular aspect. So we choose a key value each week, and we have a little teddy bear called Jojo, and she goes around the classrooms and she promotes one of our key qualities, and each week a child manages to go up onto our tree of growth, and it's there for the children to see, and it stays there forever. So it's a really, really good reminder. We encourage our children to have a growth mindset. So we teach them to be positive, we teach them to problem solve, and we teach them the power of yet. So when children say to us, I can't do it, we'll often rephrase that as, we can't do it yet, but soon you'll be able to. So we're trying to turn their mindset around all the time. So that was very brief. I'm going to pass you over to our foundation stage manager, Mrs. Allen.
Hello. So as I've already been introduced, I am the foundation stage manager, and this year I've been teaching in nursery, and next year I'm really excited to be back in reception. I joined Exall Cedars Infant School just over 2 years ago now, and prior to that, I think I've been teaching almost 20 years, and the majority of that has been in reception or with the EYFS. Foundation stage, it is starts from, it's the learning that they do from the moment that your child is born until the end of reception year. So the next few slides we're going to look at is going to be talking about the different areas of the EYFS curriculum, the early years foundation stage curriculum. This is very much based on that children learn best through play and through active learning. If after day one they come back and say, did you have a nice day? Yes, what did you do? I played. Then I think we're doing our jobs well, because they will learn through play. So don't worry too much if that's the only answer you get from them. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So in the foundation stage curriculum, this is divided into 7 areas. The first 3 areas are the prime areas, and these are the building blocks that the children need to have for everything else to fit into place. So this includes personal, social and emotional development, communication and language, and the physical development. So these are very much the focus in preschool and nursery. We're putting those into place. And then on top of that, we have the next 4 areas, which are specific areas of learning, which are literacy, mathematics, understanding the world, and expressive arts and design. In further through the school, you might hear them talking about maths and English and science and history. Well, these are our kind of equivalent in the foundation stage. So you will hear us talking about these 7 areas of learning. We're going to go through in a few minutes and just have a closer look at each of these 7 areas and what that looks like in nursery and reception. Okay. So during the day, we do a whole range of planned activities. Again, this looks slightly different in reception to nursery, but we normally have something, a whole class, an activity, and then lots of learning, lots of chance for children to learn independently on this through the continuous provision. We do a range of small adult groups, adult-led, where the children, where we do a range of activities where we look at what the children's interests are and they can lead their learning, and we look at what they like and we bring their learning in through them through lots of fun, lots of games. And then through reception, it is a little bit more formal, so we do a little bit more whole class and more formal lessons. But the work they do in nursery is building onto that. So it's a whole range of teacher-led, child-led, whole class, small groups, independent, it's a whole mix. Okay, so in personal, social and emotional development, there's lots of things that we want your child to be able to do by the end of reception. So in nursery and reception, we're looking at ways of helping them become more confident. We're looking at how they're expressing their feelings and being able to talk about how they're feeling, recognise how other people are feeling. We help them with managing their own personal hygiene, if it's going to the toilet, washing their hands. We teach them to manage their own risks and decide what's safe for them to do, what isn't. The children really love the wheeled toys in the outside area, and part of the provision is teaching them to make sure they're doing that safely. Even if we do get grey hairs when they're whizzing downhill, but they soon learn to steer and manoeuvre themselves safely. We want them to be independent. We want them to be able to learn about the classroom routines and expectations. And like Mrs. Episcopo just said, we're teaching them to, in a very positive way, and we're praising the good behaviour so they can learn between right and wrong. The teachers and all the adults in school are fabulous at making a really good relationship with your children, and then we encourage and support children to help build relationships with other children as well. We help them to self-regulate, we help them to take it in turns, and we give them the language very much to do that. Okay. A lot of, like I say, in the continuous provision, we're just teaching children to be around others, to have fun, to play, to be a kind friend. Okay. So in terms of language, we want the children to be able to talk confidently and clearly. So we're just putting lots and lots of opportunities for them to speak. In preschool and nursery, where we have many children are still non-verbal, we do a lot of narrating for them. So we will talk as they play, so they're hearing it, and then as they're ready, they start to speak more and more. We show awareness of listener. We just want them to enjoy stories and songs and poems. And we, you know, if a child comes up with a book holding it, we'd absolutely love to stop and just sit and read a book with them and share that love of learning with them. We want to teach them to follow instructions. We want them to be able to answer questions about stories, guess what's going to happen next. We want them to feel they can talk about their own ideas, what they like, we want them to start learning that it's okay to like things that are different to other people. We encourage them to share their own ideas, to ask questions, to take it in turns with their conversations. So everything about what a good communicator looks like, we're trying to teach them the skills to do that. And we teach them phrases like, please, can I have a turn? Or stop, I don't like that. So these are all things that we start in nursery and continue into reception as well. So that might be doing puzzles together, it might be sharing a book, but just all through the EYFS, it's just giving the children opportunities to talk and listen to each other. Okay. So physical development as well, it's something we do brilliantly here. We have not just the continuous provision, we have PE lessons as well, where the children are going into the hall, and we do every opportunity. We're trying to teach them to develop their gross motor skills and their fine motor skills. So in the foundation stage, we'll be teaching them to throw, catch and kick a ball, to be able to negotiate space and obstacles without bumping into each other, ideally. We're teaching them to cross the midline, so lots of these kind of movements, because it helps them with their writing and their reading skills later. Lots of core strength, being able to, we often ask them in reception and nursery to be able to put the hands on the head and then stand up from a seated position without putting their hands on the floor. So that's just developing their core strength. Without the core strength, writing becomes a very, very difficult thing for the children to do. So it really is one of our areas that we work on. We move in lots of ways. We encourage them how to hold the pencil correctly by saying pinch the pencil. They use paintbrushes, well, just loads of tools, knives and forks, and again, everything they use in school, we're encouraging that they're using it in the correct way. And all of this, and lots of opportunities to draw, all of this will then feed into their writing skills as well. So that's gross motor and fine. In the PE lesson, next slide please. In our PE lessons, okay, we can move on. Okay, in our PE lessons, we might be having the ropes out with the apparatus, we might be using benches. In our continuous provision, they might be on the climbing wall, they might be on the trim trail, and there's just so much that we put in place to develop their motor skills. And then in class as well, we do things like dough disco, where they're developing the fine motor skills and things called flipper flappers. The outdoor classroom is just an important part of our learning, and again, it's developing all of the areas that we've started talking about and we'll continue to talk about, all 7 areas that we're learning inside as well as outside. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Miss Hunt, who will be Mrs. Dorman in September.
Hiya. Yes, so I'm Miss Hunt. I'll be the reception teacher in Daffodil class. I am hoping to be Mrs. Dorman by September, as long as Boris goes the right way with things. So I'm going to talk to you about literacy. Next slide, please. So in literacy, the children will be learning to hear and say sounds. So what we do ask is that please do not teach your children A, B, C, D, because we use a phonics scheme called Read, Write, Ink. So we learn through we use phonetic sounds. So for example, we'd say a, book. So when they do their CVC words, they will do k, at. So they'll segment and blend words. So we'll segment a word by going k, at, and then they'll blend it cat. So we do ask that we try not to teach them A, B, C, D, straight away, because we'll be focusing on the phonetic sounds. So they'll be able to retell stories. So in the early years, we use stories as a hook, and we'll be learning stories for a variety of like role play. We do small world activities. We'll be looking at characters. We create puppets. And our main aim is to really engross the children in each part of a story, because we really want to focus on that story language and introduce them to new vocabulary. Next slide, please. So to do this, we, at the start of the year in reception, we use a lot of sand trays, and we encourage a lot of mark making. We follow that up through from nursery. And we practice our writing at every opportunity. So we have writing tables, we have whiteboards outside, we have chalkboards outside. We write everywhere. We put paper out on the floor. We write on the floor, indoors and outdoors. Writing everywhere. So we follow the phonics scheme called Read, Write, Ink. They start this in nursery and then they follow up through to us. So what we're really looking for at the start of the year in September is for your child to be able to hear initial sounds in words. So a good game for you to maybe play over the holidays would be I Spy. So if you were going to play I Spy, don't say I Spy of my life at the beginning with C. You want to say K, and then go car. And then we also do in reception, they'll be coming home with their home learning sheets, which is based on the sound that we are learning for that day. So go through that with your child and practice. They'll practice their handwriting. And as you get further on, we send home ditties, which is a really short story. That should be practiced at home. And then eventually, as their confidence builds up, they'll be coming home with books. So we learn to listen to sounds to make words. And we do this in a range of ways. And maths. So we develop a love of learning for maths through a really practical hands-on approach. We use concrete methods and resources in order for children to build a visual picture of the early stages of their mathematical thinking. So we explore the concept of numbers by pulling them apart and putting them back together again. We read and write numbers, and maths is not just all about number. We also go into measurement and shape. Mathematical language is really the underpinning of their early stages. So this allows the children to be able to reason and problem solve every day. A big focus as well in reception, especially, is recalling their number bonds to 10. Next slide, please. Yeah, we do lots of adding, counting, taking away in a variety of ways. And we explore numbers in a variety of ways to embed the concept of number. And again, like I said, it's not just all about number. We learn different ways to measure, and mathematical language is really important. And I will now hand over to the lovely Miss Jackson.
Okay, hello, can you hear me? Right, so sorry, I got disconnected for a moment there. So I am Miss Jackson, who will be the new nursery teacher. So I've been working in reception for a couple of years, and I've actually spent some time in preschool. So I'm now going back to nursery, where I've been before, and actually where I'll probably find it most fun. So I'll give you a rundown of the areas of learning that we've not covered yet, and we're going to be looking at understanding of the world first. Okay, so here is where we develop your child's inquisitive mind, and we use a lot of awe and wonder to explore the world that we have around us. And hopefully what we encourage our children to do is ask lots and lots of questions, because that demonstrates to us that their mind is thinking and they're wondering about what is happening. So using those how, why, what, where questions is really important for us to hear. So what we do is we then look at sequencing and using the correct language for things that we see around us. We understand the world through looking at the society and what place and what role we have in society and what part we play in that. We're looking at our own lives and how we live and comparing it to other people, not just around us, but in other countries and in the lives of those that are in stories and different countries. Okay, could we go to the next slide, please? So we look at different opportunities for the children. So we build in lots of opportunities to cook, to understand what's happening and sequence that. We love to be scientists, and that's where our awe and wonder comes in, and our questions and our predictions. We have a computer suite here. Our children get to go in there once a week, and that even is in reception at the moment. In nursery, ours is more based in the classroom, and we get an understanding of that through our whiteboards. We work together to program B-bots. And we use a range of constructions to design and build. Okay, so expressive arts and design is where we support your children to design and make products. And again, it's all about questioning and discovering how things work and why. We develop a range of ways to express ourselves through theatre, role play, singing, dancing and performance. And this gives a real opportunity for us to get to know your children really well. And I think their personality comes out in this area of development. So we like to see the children who love to give it a big dance, and then the quieter ones would normally go towards painting a picture and expressing themselves that way. Obviously, we're all different individuals, so we support them to be able to express themselves in their own way. Okay. So we do this by allowing them to take on roles in our role play areas. We use different materials to develop our imagination. We do this individually and on a whole scale. Sometimes we have an art week, which is really exciting, where we learn about famous artists across the world. We learn to change sounds and play simple rhythms. And in each classroom, we have a creative workshop, which gives children the opportunity to, again, express themselves in different ways and giving them the skills that they need ready for the next step in their journey. Okay, so on to this now. We do have additional learning opportunities. Again, going back to COVID, we're not quite sure what September looks like, but in a normal year, our learning is not just restricted to the classroom. We organise external visits to enhance the children's experiences. We also provide a range of workshops across the year, so that's where we invite you in and you get to be part of your children's learning as well. Not only do you see the style of teaching that we have in the classroom, you also get to have a little bit of fun with us too. Okay, next slide, please. So we have visitors that come in. We have a lot of theme days. So again, as Mrs. Hilliard said at the start, make sure you watch out for that Studio app because it'll all be on there for you. And then last one, please. Thank you. So we are really privileged at Exel Cedars to have our very own trained forest school leader. We have developed our forest school area and it's ready for your children to come and explore their natural environment. I think I'm handing over to Mrs. Allen again now, who will give you some information on our reporting and progress.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, so in terms of reporting of progress, in September, though for nursery and for reception, we will be doing a home visit before they start in their new class. The details of this we'll be getting to you shortly, so you'll be told the time and the day for that to take place. And then we have a settling in session and then they'll starting. So all of that information we will get to you as soon as we can. So watch this space. We then have a parents' evening in autumn term and again in the spring. We use, again, lots of you, if you've been in nursery already, are very familiar with Evidence Me. We've had a really good uptake of Evidence Me this year. And this is the online learning journal that we use. We put our wow moments of the children in school where we share that with you, but we also encourage for you when they have their wow moments at home to be sharing those observations and emailing those into us as well. So look out for this. Again, it'll be in your pack to sign up for Evidence Me, but that's one of the best ways that you and I can you can share, the parents can share with the teachers what the children have been learning and what the next steps are. In the summer term, you'll also get an annual report, and this will indicate how well they've got on and their progress. This year we've done that as a letter from the teacher to the child. So you'll, again, if you're in nursery, you'll see what that looks like this year, and going forward next year in reception, you'll see the same format as well. Okay, next slide, please. So in the 7 areas that we were looking at earlier, this is broken down into the 17 early learning goals in reception. So at the end of reception, you will get a report that will say whether they have achieved that early learning goal. So it'll either be they're either working towards the early learning goals, if they're not quite there, be working towards, and if they have achieved the early learning goal, that will be expected. And there used to be the exceeding statement. So for children who've gone above and beyond the expected level and working at year 1 level, that was called exceeding. That's now been taken out of the new framework, the new early adopter framework. So at the end of reception, you'll either be working towards early learning goal or you will be expected. Okay, thank you. So how to help at home, a lot of this we've said already. So when we feel your child is ready, we'll be sending home ditties, reading books and sound sheets. Children do learn at different rates, so please don't go down the route of making it a competition and comparing. When they're ready, we'll make sure they get what they need to help them with the reading. If you could support with their home learning, so again on Evidence Me, we'll share activities for them to be doing at home for each topic, and if you could support your child with that, it will really help them with their learning. We've said about reading earlier, but again, visiting library, having that bedtime routine, letting children see you reading books and loving books, all of that helps at home as well. Next slide, please. So in terms of communication with school, we put lots of things on our online weekly newsletter, so look out for that. On the school website, you will see all sorts. So again, the website link is on there, and it's in your pack as well. And as the other teachers have mentioned today, please, if you haven't downloaded the Scudio app, please make sure you download that, because that gives you the up-to-date posts. If your child is poorly, we will call you to come and pick up your child. And obviously, if they're hurt or there's an accident, then we would let you know as well. Next slide, please. Regarding communication and what we expect from you, please can you call the school office if your child is poorly, and with how they're poorly as well. So not just saying they're not well, letting us know if it's sickness, if it's COVID symptoms, whatever the reason. If you could let us know who is collecting your child, or let your teacher know if it is somebody different. And like we've said earlier, make sure that whoever's collecting your child has the password, because they won't be released without that. And please let us know of any appointments that you have coming up, whether it's a dentist or doctors, just let us know. Mrs. Hilliard's already spoken to you about holidays and term time, but again, there's a form to fill in if that is something that you've requested. Please let us know, like Mrs. Hilliard said, if there's difficult times, if their pet fish has died in the morning, let us know. You know, when children are little, it does affect them. So please, whatever the reason, how big or small, please speak to us if there's anything that's difficult going on at home, and any problems. If your child's worried of something, please come and talk to us, come and talk to the teacher. We can't help you if we don't know about the problem. So if you let us know, we'll do our best to find a solution. And please let us know of any dietary requirements, allergies, medical needs, but that's all in the information pack, the electronic pack that you'll be sent out this week. Next slide, please. So what you can expect from us, we're going to take great care. We know how important the children are, and it's the children are the centre of everything we do at school. Please, you can always expect us to be polite and respectful. You can always expect us to listen carefully to you. Like we've said before, you know, we're going to give effective learning opportunities to all the children. You know, well, you can expect us to be kind and honest and to always behave in a professional manner. Next slide, please. So what we ask from you in return is to please help your child with their learning, with their daily sounds and with their reading. And please treat all members of staff with respect. Please listen to us. We've got a lot of teachers here with so much experience. So just respect and listen to the messages we have to say to you. Please keep talking to us, communicate with us. So if there's something you've got a pop, you're unhappy about, or you're not sure about, just come and ask us, okay? And we much prefer to have that conversation than for you to be getting worried or upset and talking to other people and not being supportive of the school. So anything, just come and speak to a member of staff, and we will always do our best to find a solution. Please trust our professional judgment, and please help complete with your child's home learning. So using evidence me to help with that would support your child as well. Thank you. Next slide. So I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Hilliard now. Thank you.
Hi, we were going to run a short video team from the school health team, but I'm very aware of the time. You guys have been here for over an hour, and I'm sure, like us, you want to be ready for the football at 8 o'clock. So we're going to skip that. So if any of you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, please keep them generic. If you've got anything specific around your child's particular circumstances, then please email that to admin. Oh, my slide's gone. Just pop it in the chat and we will try and answer it in the chat if we can, or if not, we will answer it verbally. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes to pop your questions in the chat. If you've got anything, we'll open that up now. Thank you. Okay, we don't seem to have any questions. If anybody's got anything specific they'd like to put their hand up and ask. I do need, no, you need to see the football, but you must have a question, no? Yeah, joggers are perfectly fine for PE, not a problem at all. While we're waiting for some of those questions to come in, let me just introduce you to Teddy before he goes home. Here he is, with his little dicky bow on, just ready for England to play and for his birthday. Say hi, Teddy. Any more questions? If you do think of anything, I'm sure you'll have some. We've never ever had a parents' evening with no questions. Please feel free just to drop them to admin and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Just very quickly before we finish, we're going to hand over to Miss Jackson, who's just going to talk to you about Cedars Seeds, the company she runs, which does our breakfast club and our after school club.
Hello. Okay, it's back to me. If I can get the slide up, please, Anna. Lovely, thank you. So at the moment we have activities available 3 till 4. So we set out a new timetable ready for September. So we've got multi-sports, which would be a Monday, which will start with our tennis skills. We have a cooking club on Tuesday. We have football, which is run by an outside provider, which you can access through the office. And then we have a Lego club in addition to that. Thursday, we'll be looking at computer skills with your children, and Friday we'll be learning a dance, and the autumn term dance will be the Trolls' favourite, which is Can't Stop That Feeling. If you would like to have a look or inquire about any of these, the email address is at the top for you. As Mrs. Hilliard also said at the beginning of our presentation, quite a while ago, we have a link going out to you, which will ask you requirements for after school club and before school club. If there's any questions whatsoever, you're more than welcome to email me on cedarseeds@hotmail.com, and I'll be happy to go through that with you. So the timetable there is for after school, and the morning club starts from 7:45 until your children start their day with their teacher. At the moment, the current cost of that is £4.50 per session. So again, if there's any questions, please do not hesitate to send me an email, please. Thank you for your time, guys.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Hope it hasn't been too painful doing it virtually. It's probably been more painful for us than it has for you